This is the most people I've seen since I started this gig. I know it's not, I know the reason why.
73372.
Dispatch 303, item 102, third shift is 10 a.m.
10-4.
Go ahead and pause it on that. And that's the guys and gals I worked with on third shift, day in and day out. It was an emotional lineup, but a good one because it was the first time we were all back together again since that happened. So it was a really good one. Stayed in the hospital 3 days. After 3 days, as they said, there was lots of visitors, so they were ready to kick me out, I'm pretty sure. So they did. They sent me home with home health care. A nurse came out and saw me every day. Had to go live with my mom. I lived alone, but had to go back to mom's house for about a month. She graciously welcomed me back in, but couldn't get around, couldn't walk very well, couldn't drive, so I had to have somebody take care of me for about a month. So I was off a total of 4 months. After 4 months, I went back to light duty. Went into the Crimes Against Children unit, worked there for 2 months, and then after 6 months, I went back to patrol. And I remember in the hospital, the chief came to me, and I remember him saying in the hospital, I remember him telling me, okay, when you get better, you know, you don't have to go back to patrol. We can find a place for you. Usually it's a process going to a different place. You have to apply, get accepted, and things like that. But he said, we'll find a place for you. And I said, no, Chief, I'd like to go back to patrol. Well, I was on morphine, a bunch of morphine at that point, so I think he thought that was talking at the time. So we revisited this 6 months later, and he told me the same thing. He sent the chaplain to tell me the same thing. And I remember the chaplain said, I thought I got snake bit when you came back with me. But I was telling him, no, you know, I thought they were trying to move me, and I didn't want to move. So I told him, you know, I really want to go back to the same spot. And I say that because, you know, it was a personal decision. Not that if anybody else chose to go anywhere else, that'd be a bad thing, because it wouldn't. But for me, I personally had to prove to myself that I could get back out there and do the job again. So I didn't feel like I had to prove anything to anybody else, but it was my personal goal to get back out there. I didn't want to come off the streets of somebody else's, something else they did, you know, some bad act they did, bring me off the streets. I wanted to come off on my own time. So I went back. I was there for about a year, went back to patrol for a year, and then after the year, that's when I transferred into the unit I'm in now. So went back, everything was good. There were times that took me right back to the moment. The best one I can think of is I was patrolling a kind of a gang area, and this guy had asked me to watch some rent houses of his, and I knew where the gangbanger's house was, and he told me, you know, they kept on getting broke into his rent houses, so he asked me throughout the night if I'd check on them. So I rolled around about 2 or 3 in the morning. I rolled through there, and as I passed the gangbanger's house, I remember hearing and it sounded just like the gunfire, and I remember my heart jumped up in my throat, started beating real fast, and what it was somebody, a hammer pounding on some metal, because that's what they do at that time of day in that neighborhood, but somebody's banging on something, building something. But to me it sounded just like that gunfire, so made myself drive around, listen to it while my heart rate came down. So there's been a few instances, then I think a couple months, 2 maybe, after I was back, I responded to a call where a deputy was shot in the stockyards, Oklahoma City, and he'd been shot above his left eyebrow, came out back here, but I was one of the first on the scene, so it kind of gave me a different perspective of what people deal with being the first to arrive on something like that, because we all go through it. It's not just the person who got shot, but it's everybody that responds as well, and the family and everything else, so kind of got that perspective from the other side. So as I went back to work, we'd already went through the pre-trial. They had all 3 pled not guilty and continued to plead not guilty. Then about 2 weeks before the trial actually came up, the older brother came forward and said that he did it, that he was the shooter, that his brother and mom knew nothing about it. So he wanted to plead guilty and take a blind plea in front of the judge. So he did that, which the trial took place first. We had a trial for the mom and the brother, week-long trial, and at the end, it came back with a guilty verdict for the boy and a non-guilty verdict for the mom. She was acquitted. And when it came to sentencing of the young boy, he only got 3 years. So this was before the shooter was actually sentenced. So I was pretty disheartened. I was thinking, 3 years for my life. Wow, this is crazy. you know, but what do? A jury comes and you have to deal with it. But then, as it came time for sentencing of the actual shooter, Judge Deason, I don't know if anybody's familiar with him, great judge, awesome man. Became friends with him later in the work I do now, having to get warrants signed. But just a great man. We lost him last year, so he's greatly missed. But I felt like I was justified after he sentenced the guy to life plus 10 years for the gun charge. So that made me feel better about things. So he's still in prison, will be in prison. He went in at the age of 18. He won't even have a chance to parole until around the age of 60. So he'll be in there for all of his adult life mostly. The younger brother already served his 3 years. He's actually out. So if you ever see his face up here, I'll just pay him a visit. But as far as I know, he's still in Oklahoma City. The last place I could track him back to is Oklahoma City, but I do not, it's not a current address. So I've not found him as of yet. Not that I actively search for him every day, but he does have a few warrants, so I wouldn't mind putting him in jail for those. So I'll go ahead and finish the rest of this video and then say a few things afterwards. This just shows pictures after the trial, after the verdict came down. One of our partners, Charlie, that's Judge Deason in the back there. Got in there because that's a brother in the sweater there and his mean face. I thought it was kind of funny they captured it. And that's one of the jurors. He actually felt bad about the verdict on the other two and actually came to support me on the sentencing of the shooter. And the dad, the last time I heard about the dad, he got deported December 2011 or early January 2012 and was back and in trouble with law enforcement in Texas in May 2012. Was deported again, but probably has made it back again since. I tell people not to judge me by this photo.
NAPO's associate members, the citizens who support all the good legislative work and legal work that NAPO does on your behalf, review these cases, and they come with one final winner, the Citizens' Choice Award. So I'm going to open this envelope. I don't know who it is. Everybody's a winner. Okay, the People's Choice Award 2011 Top Cops is Officer Katie Lawson from the Oklahoma City Police Department. She's wearing her best. That's a cop on the job.
I'm really speechless. I don't know what to say now. Thank you so much. It's such an honor. Again, thank you to everybody. Thank you for having me here. I'm not a hero. Any of y'all, any of these stories deserve this. Y'all are all heroes in my eyes. And I just want to thank you again. This is such an honor, and I don't even know my gratitude. I can't express enough with words. But I can say I'm thankful for our lives, the ones that we're able to celebrate, each of us that survived through these incidents, and also say in memory of those that may have not survived and tomorrow and the rest of the days of Police Week here in D.C., that we remember them and what they did and how they sacrificed. And it's an honor to be here and, like I said, to survive this and to be picked as the top cop in People's Choice. Thank you so much.
Wow. Katie, how wonderful and appropriate. And I disagree with one thing you said, Katie. I'm in awe of your grace, and I'm in awe of the fact that you're still walking around and working on the job. But you were the one who called it in, took the 6 bullet shots, and prevented that guy from killing somebody else. You were grace and strength under fire. And really, God bless you. God bless you.
of Judge Deason's statements in here. I have high respect for him, so I wanted to honor him.
Officer Katie Lawson has more honor, integrity, and courage than you will be able to comprehend. The citizens are lucky to have her, and just as lucky to have you off the streets. When you took fire from Officer Lawson, you turned tail and ran like the coward you are.
Got a lot of other things, but I felt like when I got up there, I forgot everything I wanted to say. So when he started speaking, I thought, well, he just said it all for me. It's more than I could have done. But we lost a good judge. He was very pro-law enforcement. I'll end with this. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. I put this up here because when I get up and speak, I always give the glory to God, because if it hadn't been for God, I would not be here. So it goes to him, his credit, that I am still here, because he definitely saved my life that night. So have to always give him the credit. But I come up here and I speak with Brett. I usually don't like hearing myself speak, so he's the talker, he's the rodeo announcer. But just because to help anybody else, because the truth is none of us know when our time may come for an incident like this. None of us are immune. There's no single profile of an officer who may be shot or worse, killed in the line of duty. It could happen to any of us in a matter of seconds. We could be in a fight for our life. It could be the next person we run into that has warrants. We don't know they have warrants. Or the next time we kick in a door, we don't know who's behind the door. That's the moment we could be in a fight for our life. That's kind of why I slow it down at the beginning and tell you about that traffic stop. Because those two subjects and that mom, they didn't give any kind of inclination of what they were going to do. They were very polite, very receptive to us. They didn't give us any kind of problems at all. So there was no kind of knowledge of them having a gun inside, going to go get that gun and come out and shoot one of us. So, you know, at any moment we can be in a fight for our life, and at that moment we're going to be the primary person responsible for our safety, whether we're with other people or not. We got to be able to react, and I don't think there's any one way to say somebody should react. The important thing is that we do react, and not get caught up and freeze. You know, you might freeze a little bit for shock, but that you don't stay in that state. You start moving and start reacting to what's happening. And the best thing to do is to plan now for that event. So when the event does take place, maybe it'll help lessen that anxiety. Will it probably still be out the roof? Yes. But if you're prepared for it, maybe it'll help to lessen it. We need to continue training. And, you know, not just do the mandated training, but continue training, going out to the gun range. And a big thing is doing the what-if scenarios. Running scenarios through your mind. What are you going to do? What are you going to do if you get pinned down in a car? That's one of the best things you can do. But one of the main things I like to harp on is the mindset, being mentally tough. Collection of attributes that help you persevere in difficult circumstances. We have to prepare now our minds for survival. And I got a couple statistics here that I write down, and I do believe these come from Grossman. I forgot to put it down, but as when I was reading his books. In a gunfight, 25% is physical and 75% is mental. Also, 90% of successful performance is attributed to psychological skills, and that life or death physical combat on the streets is likely to turn more on mindset than skill. Therefore, our mindset should be to win whatever it takes. So, victory always starts in our head, and it should become a state of mind. We need to prepare for survival, not defeat. So, that's one of the main important things, is just know that if you're still in the fight, if you're still conscious and aware that you're in the fight, don't give up and continue that fight. And then one of the last things is be resilient. You know, things in life are going to happen, whether they're on the job or they're in our personal life. You know, we're going to have things that are going to happen to us that are not good, but being able to bounce back from those circumstances, you know, that sometimes feel totally overwhelming at first, but don't look at it as a setback. Look at it as a chance to overcome. And I'm not saying I had all good days and it was all uphill after this thing, but, you know, just not let it change the person you are. It's okay to feel mad, sad, whatever emotions you go through, but don't let it change the person you are. Try to overcome that thing. And then the last thing is just to let your family, your friends, those people that you love, know that you love and care for them. Don't forget to spend the time with them. Don't forget to let them know you love them, because when we walk out the door every day, we're not guaranteed to come back. And I know that's for everybody, especially in the job we're in. We don't know what we're going to face every day. So just make sure your loved ones know that you love them.